Okay guys, so here's the progress. 2 weeks later, they're slightly chewed a little bit because the client had quite a lot of stress, and this is what happens sometimes. So no worries. We're going to take this off. We're going to soak it off. This was shellac, and I'm actually going to buff it a little bit because I think we used the wipe-free top coat, which does not come off very easily. So I know normally shellac recommends not removing, not filing anything. So I'm not going to file, but I'm going to buff. Just a little bit. And this, what it does, it just makes the product a little bit more porous so the acetone can absorb a little bit easier. And then it removes better. But the skin around the nails is much better. So that's very good. The pinky survived. So I'm gonna try cotton this time. Why not? Someone was telling me that it's better, so we're gonna try it. I'm going to use clips because this foil is very soft, so it comes undone very easily. I'm going to start timing now. I like to start timing when I start the manicure. I think I actually like it with this thing. Just have to make sure that it's pretty saturated. So maybe a smaller piece would be a good idea. Kind of stays on the nail a little bit better this way. I have to say it's not moving as much as the other things that I used to use. So I usually give it like 2 pumps, but it depends what kind of bottle you have, I guess. I'm going to add a little bit of heat. This is a heating pad, and I'm going to put some weight on top of it just so it stays. Okay, 7 minutes, let's see. Almost. So when the skin is soft, sometimes I just push it back. So this is living skin, the cuticle is here. And I repeat this with every video because we have a lot of new viewers, and people are asking what is what? What is cuticle and what is the living skin? This is 9 minutes. So now I'm softening it a little bit more. back the living skin, nudge it back. You have to do it always very, very gently. So I put this thing flat on the nail like this, and then just nudging with the side, not this way, because this way you can hurt that area underneath the nail, so underneath the skin. Almost this way too, onto that. And this is 10 minutes. I see that top coat is not very easy to remove. Does not remove like, yeah, where's the butterfly, guys? Where's the butterfly? There's no butterfly. It's been 10 minutes. The thing with butterfly is that it only happens, I don't know if you guys have seen the CND ads where the product comes off in like a one big chunk. So this happens usually when, I mean, maybe there are other ways of achieving that, but usually it can only happen when the product is brand new, so it's very soft. As the product is worn, the skin around the nails is actually way better. It becomes more brittle because it ages with time. It's a plastic after all. Okay, so you see I'm pushing back the living skin, nudging back. My God, I have to stop saying pushing. And this all is a cuticle. This is very satisfying, I have to say. I mean, I'm not complaining about removal of shellac, I'm just saying that it does not remove like the ads are showing. But still, the removal is absolutely excellent. Because with a lot of products, you have to reduce the gel polish by like 50% or remove the top coat. With this one, you really don't have to. And it still comes on very well. If you have not seen the previous videos, I have, I think, three, I think, videos with this client. We're trying to regrow her nails. She used to have acrylic and a gel combination that I took off. And that's why you see a little bit of damage here. It's from the previous service provider. And it happens, let's not blame the electric files. It happens when there is too much pressure applied and when the angle is slightly incorrect. So it can happen. And some people's nails just, they're not necessarily really damaged, but they call it bruise. It's not really bruising. They just mark very, very easily. Okay. So the key is to make sure that you're not like injuring the nail here, that you're not pressing really down. And initially, if that skin is overgrown, so usually it's overgrown due to cutting or abrading it, or just being really rough with the hands, or when that skin is stuck to the nail. So the skin necessarily does not grow. This is a fold, so the fold doesn't really grow. What happens is that either, like I said, the skin is scarred from cutting, or the skin is stuck to the nail, and as the nail is growing, it's pulling the skin with it. So a very good solution is to just nudge it back, just like this, every few days, and just using good quality creams. Something with urea is the best, because urea exfoliates the skin slightly as well, just keeps the skin nice and healthy. And when the skin is nice and healthy, you can very gently nudge it back, and the skin is going to be very elastic. So when you're doing this and the skin is really hard, then just don't do it yet. Give yourself a week of using creams and oils, and then the skin is going to be much easier to treat. And don't try to push it too far, because sometimes when that skin is really stretched, when you push it too far, it's gonna stick up and dry out, and it's going to be worse. So just very, very gently. Just first, that skin has to be healed. It has to heal. So you see, this is living skin again. Here, 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 and this is cuticle. This is cuticle. So there are two skins over here. Okay. All right, so let's start with this to see how it feels. It's not bad. You know, when it comes to biting nails or picking, it's not easy to stop. It's really not easy, and very often people are like, oh my god, Anna, you're gonna be mad at me because I chewed them. And honestly, I'm not, because I know it's difficult. It's a habit that is very, very difficult to break. And the thing is, you should be proud for trying, and you shouldn't feel bad for failing, because, you know, we fail throughout life all the time. And the key is to just keep trying. That's a good life lesson. But it applies to the nails as well. So it's like quitting cigarettes sometimes. If you want to, you just have to keep trying. That's how I quit. Biting my nails, and that's how I quit smoking cigarettes too. Okay. There's this little flaking on the end, which has to be removed, because the thing is, if nail polish or anything that we're applying sticks to that little flake, and that flake is very loose, it's just going to flake off, right? So it's very, very important to, I mean, be very gentle, but you have to remove those little flakies, because they're going to create a problem. Someone just recently asked me what I mean by cleaning up the sides. And I know I come up with some good vocabulary sometimes that is not necessarily very, very clear. Okay, so in my world, when I say clean up the edges, it just means to smooth the edges without removing a lot of the nail. So when I clean up the edges, I just make sure there's no like little catches for people to pick at, but I'm not necessarily filing the nail. So I'm just removing as little as I can just to smooth the surface, not to really remove the corners. And it's the same thing actually when it comes to buffing the nail. So I will very gently use a buffer, but just to clean up the nail and not to really buff it down. Because there is buffing and there's buffing. Some people buff way too much, usually. And the key when it comes to buffing is just to clean off the surface from any pieces of gel that could be really sticking up. The surface does not have to be like 100% clean from gel because we're still gonna apply a product. But you should not have like little bits that are sticking up because sometimes they're going to be sticking up through the gel. So it has to be kind of smooth, but not perfectly filed and smooth either, because we don't want to be removing layers and layers. Because a lot of people don't know that, but the nail does not grow from the nail bed up. It's growing from the root down. So once the nail is formed over here, you have the same thickness that grows down. And if you buff the surface, you're just removing layers. And some buffing is necessary for certain products to stick, but you just do it as little as you can. So I had the file angled this way. I'm not filing the surface. I'm filing just the edge to smooth any flakes. So now I'm going to remove the cuticle, so that white stuff that was left on the nail. And honestly, I'm putting so little pressure. And the e-file is set, let me just see again. I go by feel usually. I think it was set to 8. No, it's 7,000 RPM. Yeah, 7 is good. It really depends on the machine too. Some machines kind of feel different than others. So again, I go by feel. Little taps sometimes I find are very effective because you're barely touching the nail. There's a couple flakes here. And the reason why I like using electric file, because I like doing dry manicures before any enhancement services. So, and I'm trained with electric file and I feel very comfortable using it, but it's not necessary to use electric file. If you're taking care of your nails, there shouldn't be a lot of hardened skin around the nails. There shouldn't be a lot of dry skin. I just give that area a little freshening up, and that's it. I don't try to, and I know I'm repeating this in pretty much every video, but this is that important. I don't try to remove dry skin. Dry skin is a sign of impaired skin barrier. So by filing it, we're not helping it whatsoever. We're just making it look better, but we're actually creating a bigger problem. When the skin barrier is impaired, it's not working properly, then you have a higher chance of developing allergic reactions, picking up, allergens. The skin barrier is there to protect the living skin. And the skin barrier is actually a dead skin. It's a layer there on the skin on purpose to protect the living skin. So just because it's dead, it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a role. It just has to be healthy. It has to be intact. It's almost like, oh, my leg hurts. Okay, let's cut it off. Trying to see why it hurts or why you're having issues is a better idea. I'm actually so impressed with the difference in the skin. I'm going to show you pictures at the end of this video from the first manicure. This is incredible. And it actually takes a very long time to improve or to really correct the skin barrier. I'm gonna go actually even to 6,000 RPM. It takes, guess how long actually? Please write in the comment section. And I'll tell you how long it takes to repair skin barrier, usually. I mean, I guess it depends on the severity, but it can take up to 3 to 4 months. And very often I get, people are very impatient, right? Because they're like, oh, I've been doing everything for 2-3 weeks and I don't see any improvements. But it takes longer than that. Because when you think about it, it took much longer to damage the skin barrier. I'm going to make a separate video about it because this is so important to understand. It's actually absolutely incredible how much better the skin is. Wow, I can feel it. So there is a difference in the flexibility of the skin. The skin just looks so much healthier, and that's the whole key. Even though I use electric file, I want to see progress, right? Because very often people say that the electric files are not good for the nails and they're not good for the skin. But in my opinion, I mean, anything can be overused, anything can be used incorrectly. But if I see continuous progress with the clients, that means that I'm doing something right. And this is not a toy, like some people say. This is a professional tool, but I have to say you have to be extremely careful and get professional training. So just don't think that you can just grab a file and file off your product or remove the cuticle with electric file without very specific training and a lot of practice. I actually didn't start working on a natural nails from the very beginning. I actually started for a very long time. I was scared, I was petrified of the electric file. So I started just shortening the nail. with it. And then once I felt comfortable, then I started removing the product, like not actually all the way down, just like reducing the product a little bit. Then when I was comfortable with that, then I started prepping the natural nail with it. So, and I took specific training. So, and I've done, you know, thousands and thousands of manicures. So it is important. This, I don't recommend this tool for people to use at home, especially with your left hand. I have a hard time using this tool with my non-dominant hand. So I've seen way too much damage. And once you damage the nail, when you thin it out really badly, it takes months to grow it out. And I personally am not a huge fan of applying products, gels, right, on a surface of the natural nail that is thinned out and very damaged. And why? Because these products are designed to be applied on a normal and healthy nail plate. So I still feel even HEMA, it's one of those chemicals now that everybody talks about. It can be very allergenic, but especially when it's used incorrectly, or when there is just too much HEMA in a product. So up to 35% of HEMA is pretty safe. It's actually safe when it's applied very skillfully, okay? So the key is to really understand the chemicals and not to demonize them and just ban them because people don't know how to use them properly. Same goes for electric files. I mean, they can be very good tools, but they can also be, you know, abused. Same goes for everything. So proper training is a key. And the thing with HEMA or with any products, first of all, they don't bond properly to the very damaged surface, so then they start peeling, causing even more damage. And second of all, I just don't know how safe they are really when they are applied on a damaged surface of the natural nail, because they are good when the nail is not damaged, because it's very difficult to penetrate natural nail, believe it or not. So no, we're not absorbing chemicals through the nails. Because if that was the case, the antifungal medications would be very effective applied on the nail, and they're not. So natural nail actually is a very strong protection to the finger. But when the nail is barely there, when the nail is severely thinned out, I don't know if that's so safe. So sometimes, I guess, yes, it can be done, but this should not be like, oh, I have damaged nails, so I have to apply gel. That's not how it should be. I'm going to use this buffer, but first, because I always use new buffers, so I'm going to make sure that it's a little bit smoother. when it comes to any artificial nail products, the surface has to be like spotless. There can't be any dust or skin on the nail because the product is not going to bond properly. Spray them, and then I'm going to scrub them. And at this point, make sure you don't touch the nails. Making sure there's no fluffies. I always make sure that I grab the nail with my thumb on the side and with this finger on the other side to make sure to get into the little grooves to clean them up. Make sure there's no dust. So we're going to build like a very, very thin overlay with this product. And the reason why I'm doing this is because with shellac, you cannot shorten the nails in between surfaces. With this, you can, especially if I put a little bit of primer on the free edge. So this is what I'm going to do. So this is the Cuccio primer. I just put it in a little bottle. I prefer this brush. And applying it on the free edge only. So this is an acid-free primer, which actually there's a funny story behind it. So years ago, we used to use acidic primers, which sometimes when people spilled them, they would make a huge mess and they would burn their skin. So then acid-free primers came out and everybody was like, yeah, this is great because they don't burn the skin. Well, they don't, but they contain higher amount of HEMA. So they're very sensitizing too, it's just you don't feel it right away. So none of these products are, you can't be careless with these products, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm gonna do one nail at a time. So first, making sure that the whole area is nicely covered. I'm going to grab a little bit more. And wait for this to settle. I'm gonna help it along a little bit. Now it's perfect, goes the light. So what I do is I flash cure it. And the nail's not cured properly, but it is not moving anymore. So. Waiting for this to drip down a little bit. Wait for it to connect. Wait for it to spread. So the first layer is called like a slip layer. There always has to be a gap between the product and the skin. And the light shows me how the product is flowing. Sometimes there are little bubbles that are super annoying. Okay, so the first coat, I put definitely pressure. You almost want to work it into the nail. Okay, you can also use for this purpose a flashlight and just the one that has the UV rays and flash cure it that way. It's also a good idea because then you are holding the finger properly. The client has to hold their fingers properly, otherwise in the lamp they have to be aware of how to hold the fingers, especially the thumb. Le pano jest assim, ok? What you can also do, and I'm actually going to show you how to do this on this hand. You can also put a thin coat first. Do that as well. Oh, that's fluffy. I would still flash cure it every couple nails, maybe. Okay, full cure. So now again, I'm going to put that slip layer very thin. It's a matter of practice to know what kind of a bead of a gel to apply. I'll wait for this to settle. Okay, now that it's nice and even. Okay. This is especially helpful when you have an even surface. Because if you apply thin coats, I mean, also it can be done in just thin coats, but this way you are leveling the surface a little bit better. These bubbles are super annoying. Sometimes you can turn the hand upside down like this. Put this to settle. Okay. Going to smooth the free edge, and at first they look a little dull, but after applying oil they actually become more shiny and they stay shiny. And I find that with this product you can shorten the nails after a week, and then just you can touch them up and it should not be peeling. Step twice with a new pad just to make sure that there is no sticky gel left on the skin, because the sticky gel is uncured gel and we don't want our uncured gel on the skin.